Greetings and welcome back to my video log, the psychology perspective. Today I ran into a very interesting article. It was actually written yesterday. It was called Stop Overthinking Everything by a fellow blogger by the name of Garima. I hope I pronounced that right, because I will leave a link to this insightful blog article in the blog that follows this video. And so Garima is, her blog's called Be Inspired, and she wrote this very insightful blog. It's about our human capacity to overthink everything. And so what happens with this, we tend to have two types of racing thoughts. One is a dwelling type, and when we dwell on a single focus, a lot of times we'll begin to pick apart every single aspect of the what ifs, and this ultimately can become a cause of anxiety within itself. And this kind of overthinking really picks apart the essence of the effect we're trying to achieve. And so this video log has been about weight loss and the journey that I've been undertaking recently to release the weight and to discuss ways on how to make space for a new you to enter. And what ends up happening when we begin to overthink things, we technically really begin to put ourselves in a position where we talk ourselves out of what it is that we're trying to achieve. And so as it relates to weight loss, overthinking could be a very deadly scenario as it relates to the overall journey that you're wishing to take on. The second type of overthinking really comes from the idea of having an attention deficit, where our attention's drawn by the entire picture, that it's, oh, there's way too much and I could achieve everything. So we put 5% here, 10% there, 20% here, 5% there, another 10% here, and ultimately we never end up achieving the results we want because the mind becomes too distracted by the smorgasbord of opportunities that's out there, so we chase these things without full intent. And so what ends up happening in these cases is we ultimately end up not having 100% put into any one thing, or even 70%. And as we know, if you have a 10% on a grade, we end up not passing within that journey or feeling as if maybe we failed. And this actually brings up another part in how we begin to look at failure in general. And so failure, within essence, there's no such thing as failing if you tried anything in life, okay? The way that I've always looked at failure is the only true failure is a lesson not learned. And so if lessons were learned as it relates to the journey that you're undertaking, this is the way that our development spurs forth. And so overthinking within that essence, it could lead to us being drawn in too many directions, but not putting enough effort to succeed in any one given place. And so if the overthought is in 10 different directions, instead of putting 10% in each direction, try and find one thing that is sort of encompassing of multiple parts of those dreams that you have, so you could begin to find success within that. If you could put 100% effort or even 70% effort into one direction, you're going to see a lot better of results than if you're drawn in too many directions. And so part of the journey is really to find if you can marry one or two of these things together and find, in essence, the aspect of your dream that's driving you. And so what Garima speaks of is actually a very interesting blog post. She actually brings in meditative practices of bringing it back to our senses. What is it that we're seeing? What is it that we're hearing? What is it that we're feeling, smelling, or tasting? And this is a meditative induction exercise that really brings us back into reality. This thing moves despite whether or not we're awake, we're asleep, or whatnot. And the way that we ultimately begin to learn how to control the mind is by directing it and channeling it into the direction we want. Now, part of what we have discussed in the last few vlogs was the need to make space, okay? Well, the way that we make space is by going within, feeling back within our body. What is it that we're seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching? And with that, we begin to make sense of the physical world around us, not what's happening up here, the what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if I don't lose weight? What if I do? Our mind will give us 1,000,001 what ifs to try and keep us satiated in the present moment that we're in. But if we're not happy with that moment, we need to begin to direct it in a manner that leads it to the place where we want to be. And so I hope that you've enjoyed this journey. Go check out Garima's log, Be Inspired, and I will leave a link to it in the bottom of this page, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And until next time, I hope you advance confidently in the direction of your dreams. Bye.